Turn to Facebook's semi-independent oversight board and the decision yesterday to uphold the company's ban on former President Donald Trump's account. The 20-member board made its ruling, but ultimately handed the final decision back to Facebook. The board said the social media site cannot invent new unwritten rules when it suits them and recommended Facebook either permanently ban or reinstate Trump within 6 months. Trump was banned indefinitely for his posts after the January 6th insurrection, where he referred to members of the mob as special and patriots. Joining us now, longtime journalist Carol Cadwalladr. She's co-founder of The Real Facebook Oversight Board, a group of experts who analyze and critique Facebook's content moderation decisions and policies. Carol, good morning. It's good to have you on with us. What did you make of the ruling of this, they called an independent board, that handed down the decision about Donald Trump and basically kicked it down the road a bit and said after 6 months, it's up to you, Facebook?
Well, I'm really glad that you called it semi-independent and they call it independent because, of course, it's not an independent board. It is a board which was set up by Facebook. They appointed all the members, they made its terms of reference. And essentially what they were trying to do was sort of have this external body where they could, shove off the most difficult decisions it didn't want to have to deal with and let somebody else take responsibility for them, essentially. And what we've had is this situation where this board has come back and said, no, actually, this is on you. You've got to take responsibility, and they've just kicked it right back at them. And in many ways, I think this is a good thing, in that this total denial of Facebook to just take responsibility for what goes on its platforms is, we've just seen it time and time again, and this is a sort of huge example of it. So it's a ridiculous and sort of slightly farcical situation, but it is quite helpful in that it turns the attention back onto Facebook. But what's really unhelpful, I think, about it is that it's a kind of sideshow going on that that distracts attention from actually, the real dangers of Facebook. And, I've been thinking about it this morning and actually listening to the conversation that you've just been having about January the 6th, I think is really, really important in this context, because I think it's this what's going on here is allowing Facebook once again not to own up to its complicity in what happened. And essentially, I find it, they're making this all about Donald Trump. What do we do? How do we solve a problem like Donald Trump? And actually, the question that Facebook should be asking is, how do we solve a problem like Facebook, I think?
So, Carol, off of that last comment you made, it struck me, and I think a lot of people yesterday, that the build-up to the announcement that we all heard and shared and are talking about now, the build-up to that announcement was as if a separate government was going to make a statement. And it was covered as if Facebook was a separate government. And perhaps Facebook does have the power of a separate government. But my question to you is, and it gets to the point that you just raised, how is it that with all of this controversy over so many months, years actually, how is it that Mark Zuckerberg and Sheryl Sandberg skate away from responsibility every single time?
Well, that you've just hit the nail on the head so acutely there, I think, because that is what this endeavour is all about. That it sets up a very grandiose board. It pays a lot of money. It's got some really incredible people on board, and it's cloaking it, it's dressing it in this sort of judicial wrapper. It called it, a Supreme Court. And that is a way, as you say, of taking the spotlight off Mark Zuckerberg and Sheryl Sandberg, which is where it should be, and off onto this sort of sideshow going on over here. And so I think you're absolutely correct that it is that endeavour. It's a way of making that concrete, giving us all something else to focus on, when what we should be talking about here is Mark Zuckerberg and his failure to his failure to sort of like take control of his platform and stop, these incredibly dangerous and malignant activities which we know are going on it right now, and that we saw come to a head so acutely on January the 6th. And that is where our attention needs to be. And as I say, I think the real issue here, and I think I think this board did they did identify it in a way, because Facebook they asked Facebook questions about Trump's posts and about the algorithms and about the activities around January the 6th. And Facebook didn't answer those questions. So it wouldn't even answer the questions for the board that it itself had set up. Yeah. But it's because I think it really is, it's complicit. Facebook was complicit in what happened, and it hasn't reckoned with that. And it's refusing to reckon with that.
And Mara Gay, Donald Trump is claiming martyrdom at least for another 6 months over this decision, but obviously he would like and would need nothing more than to be back on Facebook, a platform where he raises a lot of money and pushes out his message.
Yeah, but my question for Carol, just to turn this back on you, is how do you solve a problem like Facebook? How do the American people think about this? When we talk about accountability, why do the American people need to rely on a semi-independent board to bring that? Is there something else to do? What is the role for Congress, for the Biden administration here, without getting too political, if possible?
Look, we can't rely upon this board. This is, it's like, we use the example, it's like Philip Morris setting up the Independent Tobacco Board and saying it's fine, they're going to decide who we sell cigarettes to. No, that is not fine. We know that this is just a way of avoiding the fact that they cause cancer. And essentially what Facebook is doing is causing cancer. And what is essential for the American people is to recognize that, and to recognize that you have an urgent, critical problem here, and you have to legislate. You have to take really tough decisions, and this is what you need to be focused on right now. So forget this sideshow, okay? They've made some good recommendations. Great, let them get on with it. But what you need to be focused on is the fact that this company, which has far, far too much power, which has far, far too much influence in your public discourse and what happens in your politics, this needs to be dealt with now, because otherwise you're going to be in exactly the same situation in 4 years' time. And you know what? Maybe the insurrection won't be thwarted next time. It was, you think about how close you were, and you think about the role that Facebook played in that. And you think about the fact that Facebook is now trying to cover that up. They've done an internal report, but they didn't release that. They're not even letting the employees read it. They know that Stop the Steal was organised on Facebook. They know that. And I think this is, let's use this moment as a wake-up call, in that you have to legislate, you have to regulate, you have to break this company up. No company should have this much power.
Hey, thanks so much for watching our YouTube channel. You can follow up on today's top stories and breaking news, or catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.